Have you ever met somebody who is absolutely committed to forcing their ideas down your throat? Me too. It's becoming an increasingly bad problem, the rise of the debate bro. So much so that it's crossed the barrier between internet and real life and become an actual phenomena via those insufferable street interview guys.
LGBTQ rights or economic stability.
But the problem goes deeper than that. It's not just guys addicted to clips of Ben Shapiro owning liberals. In my eyes, I think it's most bad in academics. But let's start at the top. What is debate? Just kidding, we're not going back that far. You guys all know what debate is, but so we're all on the same page throughout this video, I'm going to give my own definition, which we'll use for the rest of it. I define debate as an exchange of ideas between two or more people. The Oxford Dictionary gives a much longer definition than that, which, to be honest, I disagree with. Debate has grown since the writing of that definition. It no longer refers to a conversation in a legislative capacity, and more refers to just a neutral sharing of ideals. I mean, I can hardly call the debate over Stellar Blade a public meeting after which a vote is put forward. Let's get real, the people who care about Stellar Blade have never been in public. So with our definition established, let's talk a bit about the history of debate. Tracing the history of debate, at least online, is quite difficult, so for the sake of my sanity, we're going to start with Destiny. The guy, Stephen Bernal. Let me get real, I don't like this guy. Putting his politics to the side, he radiates an energy that makes me just viscerally uncomfortable. Still, Destiny has been debating since around the start of his channel 11 years ago, and his online presence has massively impacted the landscape of online debate as a whole. And he's still active in the scene, he's still a massive player, so we kinda have to talk about him. The first major debate I can pin Destiny down on was one between him and JonTron in 2017. If you're a fossil like I am and you remember that controversy, you'll remember Destiny widely being regarded as the winner of that debate. And I'll give him props, JonTron was saying some pretty abhorrent shit, and hearing someone tell him to shut the fuck up did feel refreshing, but Destiny would also go on to say some abhorrent shit shortly after, like the F-slur in 2018. Later in 2019, Destiny's podcast, the DT podcast, would end in spectacular fashion after his co-host confronted Destiny for his behind-the-scenes defense of using racial slurs in private. Indeed, Destiny is not unfamiliar with controversy, or with saying slurs.
At Destiny, you said nigga like 1 month ago.
And as the grandfather of online debate, that controversial side of him has really rubbed off on the debate sphere as a whole. Debate on the internet has, since its popularization, been most often used as a form of blood sport instead of a way to share ideals. Nowadays, debate streamers are a dime a dozen on all platforms and within all ideologies. In fact, many who engage in such blood sport are barely recognizable as debaters. Power scaling and versus battle communities are still engaging in a form of debate, and many of the people who take part in that community engage in the same strong-arm debate tactics that people like Destiny use that go on to make those conversations unbearable. Let's get real though. This form of debate is most prominent in the political sphere of the internet. Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, Hank Becker, all these people have made great use of debate to bolster their audience, and all of them engage in some form of spurious argumentation to make themselves appear dominant. Political debate is particularly cancerous since it's of such high importance. Convincing thousands that Hatsune Miku could kill Goku is completely unimportant. Convincing thousands that abortion is murder is much more consequential. Because of the fact that political debate is higher stakes, that naturally leads to more manipulation. I mean, if the conversation is so high stakes, why in the world would I play fair? These debaters love to engage in strong-arming and will never concede their points. For a more in-depth look at that, go watch the alt-right playbook. These debates aren't about ideas, they're about appearances. It's about who looks better, not whose ideas were better. Thus, these debates are completely pointless. The question then becomes, is debate any better in real life? Are these problems diluted when your conversation is face-to-face? Not really, in fact, I'd say it's much worse. When people don't have the capability to look up the facts in an instant, they're much more likely to use strong-arm tactics and make dubious claims. Because, realistically, how are you going to call them out on it? You don't have access to the facts right now. So what gives? If debate is bad online and worse in real life, is there any point to debating somebody? No, there isn't. The word debate has become so tainted that it's near impossible to have a good conversation with somebody if you frame it as a debate. I am, at heart, a lover of debate. I love seeing ideals be exchanged. I think it's a core part of the human experience. That being said, my love of debate has been significantly dampened over these last few years because, frankly, you can't have a good debate anymore. You can have a good conversation, but a good debate is much, much harder to come by. And to be honest, solving this issue would require a major reframing of the political and social landscape of the Western world, which I, at the very least, do not have the power to do. If I were to give advice to all those like me, who enjoy hearing ideas be exchanged but can't stand the current debate landscape, I'd recommend avoiding debate online and in person, and instead just try listening to people having regular conversations. The worst vices of the debate crowd are largely not present and people just, talking. That is, unless, of course, you're talking to a very specific kind of person. I'm gonna hop in real quick just to ask you guys to like and subscribe and do all that jazz. This channel is trying to reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and the more engagement we get, the more subscribers we get, and then if we hit 10k, I will be very happy. So it will be much appreciated. And if you want to support the channel in a more meaningful way, the best way to do that is to become a member. You can do that by clicking the join button down below. Either way, you guys spending your time here is much appreciated. You guys are great. Let's continue talking. Perhaps this quality is more present in academics, or perhaps I just surround myself with well-educated people, but I found throughout my life that the academics I speak to have a knack for turning a lot of conversations into debates. Every conversation seems to turn into a battle to see who's right, and at the end, everyone is left a little angrier and sadder. When somebody like this is a prominent figure in your life, it can quickly drive you insane. Having to justify every dumb thing you say in the middle of conversation is no way to have fun. That's something I think people forget about conversation. It's supposed to be enjoyable. Debate has its place within the world, but conversation is still king. This video was born of a frustration. I live to talk. It's why I have a YouTube channel, and not everything that comes out of my mouth is smart or correct. Honestly, I think that's an impossible standard to hold anyone to, though that is not me saying we shouldn't have standards. Keep that in mind. That being said, a conversation is a fragile thing, and it can be killed so easily by one person forcing the other to acknowledge that what they just said doesn't make any sense. I loathe the death of a conversation, so here is my advice. There are two types of people watching this video. Those who know the debate bro, and those who are the debate bro. If you know the debate bro, here's my advice to you. Don't let them turn the conversation into a debate. Keep things light-hearted and maybe slightly silly, and don't let these people pin you down on anything concrete. If the conversation starts getting tense, change the subject and come back to what you were saying earlier. If things are getting really insufferable, there's no shame in saying aloud that the conversation is getting kind of serious, and above all, there is absolutely no shame in just leaving. If you're required to be there, just go pretend you're taking a piss or something, and if you're not required to be there, just go. Life's too short, man. If you are the debate bro, I am praying for you. I hope you get better soon. No, seriously. This is something I don't often say, but I was at one point much like yourself. I was kind of a debate bro. I started changing my ways when I realized that nearly every conversation I was in was either not fun or ended in an argument. Things might not be as bad for you as they were for me, but still. If you are the debate bro, I would suggest using the doorknob method of conversation. The idea is that conversation is a lot like improv. One of the key rules of improv is not to ask questions, since it puts pressure on your partner to come up with an answer. In my eyes, conversation should flow freely like a river. When you jump in to ask somebody to back up their claim, it creates a block in the flow. If you're in a group of people, there's no shame in just letting the conversation flow freely and jumping in whenever you've got something good to say. If you're in a conversation with another person, things get a bit more difficult. This is where the doorknob comes in. A doorknob is another word here for what psychologists would call affordances, things within the environment that allow you to do something. When I say a doorknob, I visualize a sentence that can be opened into a new conversation. Dude, did you hear that Alex got married? Oh my god, did you hear about that plane that fell from the sky recently? What were your thoughts on the final season of Game of Thrones? I try most often not to let these doorknobs be questions. A question is answered by only one person, and a doorknob is a conversation for everyone. You gotta make sure you can engage too. This is the key to good conversation. It's adding doorknobs. Don't let your conversation die because you turn it into a contest over who's right and who's wrong. Let it flourish by being open and kind. Jamie, aren't you just teaching people how to hold normal conversations? Yeah, I am. No shame in that. I am quite autistic, and honestly, if somebody came up to me with a guide on how to hold good conversation, I would be very thankful for that. If I'm being slightly condescending, I hope you know it's not intentional. I'm coming at it from a place of meaning well. That being said, this video is ultimately selfish. I don't want a society of debate bros. I want one of people who know how to hold interesting and fun conversations. The hope is that this video maybe made you a bit better at holding those sorts of conversations, and maybe one day we can meet and we can have a good chat. Anyway, I've been rambling for long enough. You guys are great. Like I said, it'd be a massive boon to this channel if you could comment and subscribe and all that sort of thing. You guys are great, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!